There are certain things that the way they work in any other relationship you would call out as manipulative, abusive. But in our relationship to the system of this world, we've been so beat down that we hesitate to even call it what it clearly is.
Yeah. I think often we think that's how we have to respond to people who bring their questions or challenges to the gospel.
Yeah.
And we don't have to respond like that, because a faith that can't be questioned or even poked at,
Yeah.
I think you've said it before, is a weak faith.
Yeah.
What separates the Christian faith from any other belief or faith system is that it stands the test of time and the deepest level of scrutiny.
And so much about even religion has painted the devil's face on our Father.
What if I told you you were meant for something more? And what if at first sight your birthright was inked in blood? And what if dominion was written in big bold letters? And what if we shouldn't just occupy but overcome? And what if the observation of opposition was us? Antikemi, the podcast.
Welcome back.
Welcome back.
Episode 2.
Now I need to clear my throat.
Well, now's the time. We were here for a nice little minute last time. You see, I had to put the camo on. We were talking about being soldiers.
I saw you got in your you got out of your civvies.
Right. So I was like, let me go ahead and like dress the part, make sure I'm doing what I can.
Y'all will have to forgive me because I brought out the guns tonight.
Okay.
You brought the camo, I brought the
Yes,
guns.
sir. Yes, sir.
I didn't want to do that. You're my witness. I
Right.
brought a jacket.
I know. But
We just ain't doing that tonight.
No. It was hot in here.
It was warm.
It was, yeah. So we had to go ahead and make a different choice.
Y'all
with the wardrobe.
Y'all get to see the guns today.
Right. Hopefully, if you're jumping in with us, welcome to the Antikemi podcast.
Yes.
My name is Jonathan.
I'm Schulz.
And we'll be the host for today's episode. We haven't talked about what we're going to talk about at all.
No.
And I like it like that because everything that we end up saying is natural. It's not rehearsed. And that's how it was the first episode. Hopefully people were able to lock in with us. There was a lot that was shared that I feel would be helpful and valuable.
I believe something came through there that was productive. And not only that, there was a pocket where I believe ministry happened. I don't know who to, but somebody that will see that episode.
Yeah.
I don't know if we've even decided if this is always going to be the case that there may be episodes where we have reams of show notes. I don't know. I just know right now we're having a conversation.
Absolutely. And so if you haven't already, let's just get this out the way with. Like, comment, subscribe. All of those things definitely help the algorithm. Share it with somebody. If you have found value in this conversation, share it out to somebody, have them check us out, not just because we're trying to get social media famous, but we believe that this is something that is added to an ongoing conversation that will bring value. And from that last episode, especially when we were dealing with shame, I think that really might be a key to unlock somebody from a prison they've placed themselves into. And so, man, we serve a God who came to set the captives free. And so we're going to shout freedom from the rooftops every time we have an opportunity. And this is just another avenue we can do that.
Yeah, and if you're not a person that pays much attention to, if you're not chronically online in any way, or you don't pay much attention to how social media works, you may not know this. If you are a person who is somewhat chronically online, you hear this ad nauseum from every creator whose content you consume.
Right.
But so for both, I would say it actually does make a huge difference. If you comment, it makes a huge difference when you like and share. These things are crucial for the algorithm to pick up that there's some activity over there. And that is kind of a modern form of ministry or serving when you're dealing with the things of God. Believe it or not, popping in the comments, interacting, liking, sharing, those kinds of things, you're amplifying the message. So if you believe that truth is being talked about here, if you believe the gospel will go forth, if you believe the body will be edified, help us amplify it. And in that vein, I would also say we really are trying hard to achieve this aim, and I believe that first episode did, by the grace of God. We do not want to add to the noise. This is we are prayerfully and carefully attempting to craft our approach to this podcast so that it can serve as more of a filter to help you strengthen your filter to activate greater level of and a more intuitive experience of your discernment, so that you can filter out noise and hone in on his voice.
Yeah.
The signal becomes clearer. So we really did not want to just add a voice to the crowd. We're really believing that a huge part of what we're supposed to accomplish here is to help people dial in their antenna so that they're picking up the station that we're all meant to be on.
No, that's good. What came to mind as you was even encouraging people the value of, interacting with this type of content, liking, sharing, commenting especially, it's not that much different than any type of gathering.
Right.
If you think about any service that you've been in,
Yep.
I believe my Bible says that God is attracted to people who are active, who open up their mouth, who engage, he responds to that. I mean, and I can go through so many different examples. Bartimaeus comes to mind.
Yep.
Him actively shouting out and recognizing exactly who Jesus was. That was attractive.
Yep.
And so he stopped what he was doing and then paid attention to and ended up healing this man.
Yes.
Based upon his response. And so I'm not saying that you'll get your breakthrough or your healing because you commented on a YouTube video.
Right.
But I am saying there is some value when you interact and you engage in that type of content. It could build a muscle so that when you are in the presence of God, you open up your mouth and you allow what you are receiving to now become to be presented in a form of gratitude. It definitely helps. I'm saying, like, heaven's not a silent place.
I agree. Not for but 30 minutes.
Yeah, right. Exactly.
I'm trying not to jump in at the deep end because I want to find out how you're doing and all that. But being as you already kind of poked at it, it's hard for that not to open a little bit of a can of worms for me. Just of recent, I've become more intentional about how I interact with media online and what I interact with, not just what I watch.
Yeah.
Because some things you watch, not because you find the content itself necessarily valuable, but sometimes you have to hear what's going on in the cultural zeitgeist just to be aware.
Right.
Or at least sometimes I feel the need to just be aware of what people are talking about, how they're talking about it. And I've had a casual tendency to give things a like because I know creators make their living that way. And so I've just, plus I've also had a tendency to give things a like if I want to keep an eye on that conversation that's going on.
Yeah.
So I'm letting the algorithm know, hey, show me some of that.
Yeah.
But I have recently become a little more careful about that and a little more measured about it because I've just had impressions in prayer. Agreement is very easy to come into.
Oh, we going there.
Well, I'm trying not to.
I think we should. That's okay. Let's do it. Buckle your seatbelts. Let's go.
Just so y'all know, I've been trying to get us where we check in with each other sometimes and so on.
Hey, we're good.
But
y'all good?
Pastor Jay always do a hard. Someday I got to go to the lake with you and see how you drive a boat because I feel like I know.
It's gonna be some big waves.
Yeah, you just all of a sudden.
Yes, sir.
Those G-forces kick in.
Come on.
Have you ever given that thought? Like, what does it mean when I give something a thumbs up online?
I think we've been conditioned that it's not that deep.
Yeah.
It's just entertainment.
Yeah.
I am not agreeing to anything. I think that one of the biggest lies that we ever kind of tell ourselves is when we read, have you read all the terms and conditions?
Yeah.
And we say, yes, I have.
Yeah.
You haven't read anything. You're ready to just move on to the next window, and you've given your agreement to something. And with AI, you can actively get a pretty solid summary in plain English of what you are agreeing to if you take the extra 2.5 seconds to hit Control A and copy and paste it there and read it over. But we don't want to do that.
AI has made it inescapably clear that we don't care. Because you can't totally trust AI, but any form of research that you do is more than you didn't ever do before. Right? You can take, I was helping Brendan with his homework, and he was struggling with factoring numbers. And so, he's ADHD, I'm ADHD. I could see the hopelessness in his eyes. It's math. It was 3:00 in the afternoon.
Oh, that sounds like fun.
And I said, hey, buddy, let's try this. And we pulled up Grok. And I told Grok, here's the lesson that we're learning. I said, explain it. I said, assume that I'm an idiot. Explain it to me like I'm 5 and roast me the whole time. And, 9.7 seconds or something?
Yeah. Made it fun, probably.
A whole math lesson.
Yeah.
It was hilarious. Brendan was, his sides were splitting. We understood the concept. So there's basically, there's all kinds of pitfalls and all that to that world. But if we're going to talk about how it can be used, there's virtually no topic that you can't have it break down to you like you're 12.
Right.
And, you if you ask it to break down, whatever, aerospace, you're probably not ready to go build a rocket that's safe. It's got limitations, but you know more now than you did before.
Right.
And so the fact that we still, I'm just going to tell you, I've had this download of the new iOS 18 point whatever.
Oh, right.
Sitting on my iPhone for days now because I will not allow myself to accept the download without reading the terms and conditions.
Okay.
And I already know that all I have to do, I've thought of this so many times. That's why when you brought that up, I was just like, it's so right. That all I have to do is just look at the version of it and type into the little AI, break down the T&C of iOS 18 point whatever we're up to, like I'm in 5th grade, and point out anything I should be particularly interested in from a security and information sharing type of a standpoint. You know what I mean? Just flag anything that I ought to look at if I'm concerned about that. And 5 minutes later, I would know, basically. Or you could be like a grown-up and read it, but I haven't. Mm-hmm. I recently listened to a long interview with a physician who, as a result of the politics that played out over the course of the public health crisis of the last 5 years, and he has lost his license to practice and so on because he questioned a lot of the narrative. And I'm not even, this is not that. That's not even the discussion I'm trying to have. But it is concerning to me when we live in a world where you can lose your credential for taking the published research to task because that's called science. That's doing science.
Yeah.
Literally, that's the only thing that makes science valuable, is that everything is fair game to be taken to task.
Right.
And when you publish in the scientific world, oh my goodness, pardon us, thought I had that contained. When you publish in the scientific world, you're supposed to be, I'm going to make sure this watch is silenced too. You're supposed to be welcoming, looking for that kind of interaction.
Yeah.
That's what makes, peer review is a whole other concept. It's a whole other conversation for another day. But if there is value to the concept of peer review, that's the value of it.
You want those guardrails.
Yeah. The whole thing is it's all subject to examination. And if it stands up under scrutiny, we've got something to go forward with.
Yeah.
But it's not a creed. It's not supposed to be a creed. That's why they use words like theory that are confusing to the public. But it's because they're trying to maintain an awareness that this is the set of presuppositions we're operating from, because so far, this set of presuppositions seems to stand up under scrutiny for the most part. If we get a new set of presuppositions that holds up better, we'll move that direction.
Yeah.
It's not gospel. It's discovery. It's right. So it is concerning to me that somebody who questions that. I want to know the story. Well, how did he come to lose his credential? What was the reasoning? You know what I mean? But the point is, he was kind of throwing a flag on the play on some things, and he said, the host asked him, I don't even remember what podcast it was on, but the host asked him, essentially, you're saying that people's rights are now being violated considerably by being pressured into making uninformed choices about their health, using profoundly stupid statements like trust the science. That's not what you do with science.
Right.
You examine the science.
Yeah.
But, basically saying, okay, so this doctor was making the case that over the coming couple of years, that's going to go from being something that's happening a fair amount to being the MO, that on a broad scale for virtually everybody, we're going to be high pressured into accepting ways of approaching our healthcare that you are essentially not invited to examine, and if you do try to examine them, you'll just be shot down and told to get in line, fall in line. And the host asked a question like, well, how does that even happen? Like, how do you achieve that? People aren't stupid. So how do you achieve that end of getting everybody to cooperate with something like that? And number one, the first part of the answer to that question is we just saw how that works.
I was going to go there.
Okay, so I'll leave that part alone and let you go there in a second. The second part of that, the way he answered that question was social conditioning, which has already taken place now for a couple of decades, very directly. And the example he used was terms and conditions.
Interesting.
He used HIPAA forms, disclosure forms, and terms and conditions on our devices. He said, we have been systematically programmed for a couple of decades now to look at a glut of information that has been designed in such a way, using legalese and all of that, that it just feels like it's not written for you. You start to read it and you think, what does that even mean, right?
Well, usually it pops up interrupting.
Yes.
Your ability to get to the next step.
It.
And so I think it purposefully attacks the impatience that has been built into us right now. Like our parents have always, and the generations before, like, y'all are the microwave generation. You got to have it right now. Got to have it fast. Don't want to wait for anything. And I see that kind of play out in my own life. I see it play out in my children's lives and how they can become frustrated when things don't kind of move the way that they want it to move and how it does. And I've just noticed the other day I was doing the update. I wanted to watch the football game, but my television wanted to go through an update. And I was annoyed because I'm just trying to get to the game, right? But it gives this list of, well, we've updated our terms and conditions. And so before I can move out of that screen, I have to accept all. And I wasn't about to read it all at that point.
Trying to get to the game.
Exactly. And after I just kind of accepted all and moved past it, I was like, What did I just agree to? I'll worry about it later.
And we're, what, 20 years down the road from the first time you said that?
Right.
Have we worried about it yet?
Not till it's too late, I think.
So here's my only question with regard to what you just said, or my only disagreement with what you just said. I disagree with precisely 2 words out of what you just said. I think.
Ooh.
You said, I think it's on purpose. Well, you know it's on purpose.
Yeah.
And that's to me, that's why the only reason I'm challenging that is because I'm having to learn to challenge that in myself.
Yeah. Yeah.
Because we have been so programmed to receive that. Isn't that a line from Hotel California?
I don't know.
Hang on, y'all.
Yeah. You gotta look that up.
I gotta look that up because when I said that, programmed to receive lyric. Hotel California. Let's see where it is. Ha! Mirrors on the ceiling, the pink champagne on ice, and she said, we're all just prisoners here of our own device. And in the master's chambers, they gathered for the feast. They stab it with their steely knives, but they just can't kill the beast. Last thing I remember, I was running for the door. I had to find the passage back to the place I was before. Relax, said the night man. We are programmed to receive. You can check out anytime you like, but you can never leave.
Goodness gracious.
My God, man. They've been telling us for so long.
Yeah.
Prisoners of our own device. So we have been so programmed to receive and also consistently gaslit that we're not looking at what we are clearly looking at. No, that's not what it looks like. No, that's not. You just don't understand it. The professionals all agree, whatever. So I'm challenging, I think. I'm going to say, no, you know. And that's something we have to recover as humans, but the only way to recover it really is through Jesus, because the whole rest of the system is so far down the pipeline at this point. The church is going to have to show the way out of this, which is what Antikemi is.
Right.
So we have come to the point that we're scared to even say out loud what in any other context, if your partner goes like that every time you look at their device, they flip it over, drop it, where the back is up.
Uh-huh.
If, they jump when you come in the room, if, all the TikTok trends where you reach for the water that's by their phone and they grab you know what you're looking at.
Yeah.
You would never say, I think. You would say, let me see what's going on there.
Right.
Because I already know that I'm not going to like it. I already know it's not good.
Let's just confirm it.
Yeah, let's get this out in the open. Right. Not because I don't know, but because I want us all to know that I know. You know what I mean? Let's put a name on it.
Yeah.
Okay. I want to say that to the Lord's people based off of what you just said. There are certain things that the way they work in any other relationship you would call out as manipulative, abusive. You know what I mean?
Yes.
But in our relationship to the system of this world, we've been so beat down that we hesitate to even call it what it clearly is.
Yeah. I want I want to go back to something real quick, because how you were talking about the was it a physician who was
Yeah,
basically
we'll come back to that.
no, but I'm just saying like how he was like him challenging the science was frowned upon.
Yes.
And he was, viewed as, I guess, a pariah, or however they wanted to like frame that situation. I think often we think that's how we have to respond to people who bring their questions or challenges to the gospel.
Yeah.
And we don't have to respond like that, because a faith that can't be questioned or even poked at,
Yeah.
I think you've said it before, is a weak faith.
Yeah.
And what I've often told people is that what separates the Christian faith from any other belief or faith system is that it stands the test of time and the deepest level of scrutiny.
Yes.
It's like you can take a fine-tooth comb, your biggest magnifying glass, you can point at it, you can try to take things out of context if you want to, but at the end of the day, it does stand because it's true. And that's what sets it apart. But I think we as believers, we have to not be afraid to have those type of questions and then point them back to Jesus.
Yeah.
Because I don't think that he expects us just to, well, I could be wrong, but I don't think he just expects us just to have no type of questions whatsoever. Just blindly follow. Just to follow.
I mean, do you expect that of your children? You know what I mean?
Not a good parent, I don't think.
No. Yeah, I mean, some people kind of rule with an iron fist, but their kids are going to have to work that out in therapy.
Yeah.
If you're leading rather than just ruling in your home, as long as they do it in a good spirit, you may challenge the spirit of it if they bow up at you.
Yeah.
But as long as they're willing to give you the benefit of the doubt, trust you as their father, trust that you're doing your best and that you have their best at heart. But, I'm struggling with this. I don't get it. I mean,
I think the most intimate times the disciples had with Jesus was when they were faced with those questions.
yeah.
In the midst of like those times where he's preaching to the crowd and the parables, and they're able to have that one-on-one with them, like, we didn't understand that. We need you to break that down. Like, that doesn't make sense. You're talking about eating your flesh and drinking your blood. Like, that's tough.
Peter didn't even say that was a good sermon. He just said, I don't know where else we'd go. You're the Messiah.
Yeah, right? But that's weird, Jesus. I need you to bring a level of, like, clarity, right? I think we could do that with our Father.
Yeah.
He invites it,
He does, because he's not the taskmaster. He's not the devil. And so much about even religion has painted the devil's face on our Father. He's not, he could be. He'd have every right to be whatever he wants to be.
Right.
But he's not. He's not the taskmaster. He's not the tyrant.
Yeah.
He really is a father. And yeah, man, because most of the time it seems to me that when Jesus ministered, I mean, the multitudes, they're just hurting. They were just hungry or sick or demon possessed, they were just hurting. Like, they weren't challenging him. They, just, can you heal me? Can you feed me? So most of the time, I think when we're interacting, when we're showing Jesus to the world, what we're going to get a lot of is sick, broken, weary, hungry, in need.
Yeah.
But when we interface with power, religious power, political power, whatever, we're going to get a lot of pushback. And when we interface with disciples, we're going to get a level of pushback because they're trying to understand.
Yeah.
It's a little different kind of pushback. The spirit of it is different. But nonetheless, it's like I'm not tracking, and I'm interested enough to care, and I feel intimate enough to voice it.
Hold on, say that again.
That a disciple's kind of pushback is going to tend to come from a place of it not feeling threatened like power would, but just I'm not tracking with, I don't get it. Yeah. And I'm interested enough that I care, and I feel intimate enough with you that I feel like I can say the thing.
Yeah.
Help me.
Yeah.
I'm drowning in this one, right? So most of the time with the disciples, it looks to me like Jesus just broke it down to them. He did sometimes preface it by saying, you need to engage your spiritual perception here. You're listening to me like they do.
Yeah.
But it's been given to you to know that, so he sometimes redirect like, hey guys, I'm talking fine. You're not listening right? That's just discipleship though. A couple times he, have I been with you this long and you still don't know who I am? Yeah. There are moments, but most of the time it seems to me like he just broke it down to them. Sometimes he reminded them that they need to listen differently than the world does. But in the case of interfacing with power, I almost never can think of an example. There are a couple, but it seems to me that it's relatively rare that Jesus directly answered the challenge. And that's one of the things about the matrix of this world, is that it's always trying to pin you into, it's always trying to, it's what we talked about on the first episode with the terms of engagement.
Yeah.
Where it is going to choose what was the word we used? The enemy's always going to try to choose the theater, the arena
yeah.
of the encounter, right. The arena of the warfare. And it's like we're very programmed on that if this person states this opinion, I have to counter with this opinion because I'm on this team.
Yeah, right.
And even that, I have to defend my position. Like, I have certain viewpoints that I'm just not going to defend because I don't care if you come over to my side or not. It's not the point. And also, if you're ready to debate me on it, you're probably not ready to get clarity on it. Because somewhere you're going to have to stop trying to prove an identity, to prove a point that affirms an identity.
Yeah.
And you're going to have to be willing to just know the truth, whatever that means about your understanding of who you are and who God is, and you know what I mean? And so, how the world works. So there's a lot of things that I believe that I'm not going to defend to people. But I see where Jesus would usually go to the heart issue when power pushed back on him.
Yeah.
He wouldn't typically, occasionally he answered the question quite directly, but not usually. Usually he perceived the motive that was behind the question, and he said something that let them and everybody around know, I see you.
Yeah.
And usually they'll either want to get out of there or kill you or both. But truth has been brought to bear. And you could have had the whole argument and maybe even got them on your side, and truth still wouldn't have come into the equation because you just would have been moving people around inside the matrix.
That's good.
So he came to set us free. So he's not always gonna. And so if the Spirit is working within you to engage with the world, you're often not gonna get to win the debate in the comment thread because a higher intelligence is gonna kick in, and you're gonna be seeing the people behind the opinions, and you're going to be seeing the spirits behind the people behind the opinions, and you're going to be seeing the manipulation and the trauma at work. And
I mean, yeah, that's even going back to what are you agreeing to?
What are you agreeing to?
So it's like you could bridge the concepts that we were kind of introduced in that first episode, even with this conversation, because it's like, if I agree to engage in a lower arena, I've already entered into losing because I'm in the wrong place to try to engage this person. And so what I give my thumbs up to, what I say yes to, my wife says all the time, if I'm saying yes to this, that means I'm saying no to something else.
Yeah, because she's good at boundaries. I don't know how she does it, but she does. And says yes to a whole lot more of the right stuff than most people can.
But I think that comes with trial and error.
Yeah.
It comes with recognizing, like, okay, like, I don't know, let's just put it like this. Your yes is valuable.
Yeah.
At least it should be.
It should be.
Your yes should be valuable. And so maybe, kind of answering your original question, like maybe we should be more careful or more aware on what we agree to. It's really not, again, it's not maybe, it's yes. We absolutely should be more aware on what we are coming into agreement with.
Yeah. I mean, because I didn't know this is where this episode was going to go. You're the one that made the hard left. But 30 seconds in, these people are going to get whiplash on these episodes. But this is how we talk when we're just having dinner at each other's houses,
Right,
too.
exactly. This is
And then a lot of silliness in between.
Uh-huh.
But, yeah, because you said our yes is valuable, or at least it should be, let me build on that. Because that's a whole word. Our yes is valuable, or at least it should be. And that implies some things about your no, as well as you're stating that Aslan points to with her statement. That my yes here means there's somewhere else that a no has to be given.
right.
But so I'm going to build on that. Your yes is valuable, or at least it should be. Let me add to that. Your yes is valued. Not always by you, but it is by somebody.
Yes.
And it's usually the person asking for it.
100%.
Your yes in this realm, as an image bearer, as a son of Adam, which was the credential Jesus liked to throw around for himself more than any other.
Yeah.
Your yes is the biometric key that opens doors for the spirit realm to take shape in the physical realm.
Whew.
Every heavenly or hellish objective has to move down or up through the spirit realm, and it gets to a biometrically sealed gate at the earth realm where only Adam's DNA
Can unlock it.
can unlock it.
Yes.
That's just true. I'm sure we'll have 100 episodes by the time this podcast is done, if it keeps going, where we confront that issue directly.
Absolutely.
Lord willing, we'll bring guests on. I mean, the rabbit hole there is so deep but just for today, can we just say,
Yes.
if you don't already know this, you need to. That is the meaning of the word dominion in Genesis. When God puts man in the garden in Genesis 2 and gives Adam's race dominion to subdue the earth and rule over it, that's the deal. Anything from any higher or lower realm that wants to manifest into this realm is duty bound by decree of the Almighty, by the Creator's decree, that it has to come in through Adam's DNA. And so your yes is highly prized and trafficked heavily in other realms. But the stupid thing is what you said a little while ago, that what it looks like from this realm is that it's not that deep.
Yeah. When it's a legal issue at that point.
Like in the court of the universe.
Right.
In the high court of the universe.
Right. What you have agreed to, you've agreed to it,
is hard evidence in the court of heaven and in the courts of the spirit realm, because there are lower courts. Your agreement, if valid, is hard evidence of right of way.
It's a silly example. Maybe it's not that silly, because Hollywood knows exactly what it's doing and how they have framed this very real reality, put it right there on Front Street for us to see and be entertained by. I laugh with with my buddies the way I kind of grew up. My mom used to edit the movies that we would watch. And so there was a level of like, you're laughing because you got to watch movies.
It's so funny to me. My mom took a black magic marker and edited out the gosh in Oshkosh Bagosh on my overalls. But yes, tell me about you.
Oh man, so that's definitely, we have to unpack that some other time. And so the Little Mermaid,
My God.
man, I went years without knowing a very key plot point in that movie.
Good for your mama.
Right. And so the whole entire scene of Ariel seeing Ursula the witch, the sea witch, and she wants to become human. And so she offers her this contract. So that entire scene, she has her sign this contract, and basically she's taking away her voice. She has to basically get the prince to fall in love with her.
That's some
But
powerful
she can't
imagery.
use her voice. Her voice was powerful. She used to be able to sing.
Bro.
But she was
The imagery is not subtle here.
at all, right? Now, as kids, we have no idea, but now
No, but that's the whole point.
you go down this rabbit hole, you're like, my God, they were telling us.
They're telling
us.
They are telling
they're
you.
You exchange your voice to become more human.
Right.
And be able to stand. So you get your legs, but I take your voice. And she had to agree to it. And she didn't even recognize or understand what she was really agreeing to and what it would take for her to still complete the mission, right? So I went years without knowing. So all I saw was at one point she's a mermaid, and the next point she got legs. Doesn't make any sense at all to the story, but until I never forget, I was an adult, and I'm in the kitchen of my buddy's house, and his daughter's watching a Little Mermaid, and that scene comes on, and I stop. I'm like,
wait, what?
Never seen this scene before in the movie. And now, the pieces are kind of being put together, but it made me just think about, that's a very, silly example but the power of agreeing to a dark force.
Absolutely.
And all they wanted was your voice.
Absolutely.
Because your voice was so valuable, that yes was so valuable, there was a legal contract that she was able to then operate in that realm differently.
And that's without dealing with the imagery of an inhabitant of the marine kingdom doing what's necessary to move in this. I mean, it's there is no end to this rabbit
It's
hole.
wild,
but just that one.
Given that, yes, like you said, is so valuable. It's no wonder or surprise the serpent did not overtake Eve by force.
Yeah.
It was like, no, I'm going to get you to agree to your own destruction. I'm going to get your yes.
Well, the thing is that is infinitely more powerful than brute force. In other words, if you take something by brute force, we've had to give back land to indigenous peoples here because there was some level of documentation that it was genocidally ripped from their hands, right? But you know what we've never had to give back? Oklahoma. And we got Oklahoma for pennies on the dollar by manipulating the Cherokee Nation out of a good deal that they had with the ranchers, where they would have gotten millions more than we gave them. But we successfully manipulated them into giving the federal government their yes instead, which they did because they were afraid that if they didn't, it would just be nationalized. So at that point, they felt like, we'd rather take this deal over here with the ranchers for somewhere around twice the amount of money.
Yeah.
But we could lose it all if we don't say yes. But we've never had to give that back because we bought it fair and square. So your yes is more valuable than just your subjugation. If we can get you to agree with the system of oppression, it's more powerful. I'm looking for in Daniel, I think it's 11. Where the final the spirit of Antichrist takes its final form.
Yeah. Conflict to come.
Yeah. The engagement that is currently beginning to play out. And let me see if I can find this. Yeah. Daniel 11. And let me just read it in the King James for the sake of one word choice that I find really helpful. Daniel 11:21, and this is right after the fall of a previous power. And in his estate shall stand up a vile person, to whom they shall not give the honor of the kingdom, so not of royal lineage, but he shall come in peaceably and obtain the kingdom by flatteries. And most of the other translations perfectly correctly say by intrigue there. But it's just helpful to hear it in that King James language because so often spycraft is accomplished through flattery, through appealing to egoic appetites and needs.
The whole honeypot thing? Yeah.
The whole honeypot thing.
Yeah.
They trade in that stuff.
Yeah.
And so, yeah, now back in the New American Standard, which is a little easier to understand, in his place a despicable person will arise on whom the honor of kingship has not been conferred, but he will come in a time of tranquility and seize the kingdom by intrigue. The overflowing forces will be flooded away before him and shattered, and also the prince of the covenant. After an alliance is made with him, he will practice deception, and he will go up and gain power, listen to this, with a small force of people. In a time of tranquility, he will enter the richest parts of the realm, and he will accomplish what his fathers never did, nor his ancestors. He will distribute plunder, booty, and possessions among them. Among who? Among the few that he takes the kingdom with. And he will devise his schemes against strongholds, but only for a time. So the spirit of Antichrist in its final form is going to manifest as this small ruling class that knows how to talk the people of the covenant, the people of the holy covenant, into agreement. That's what it says.
Whew.
This is why Jesus said, if it were possible, even the very elect would be deceived. And that if these days were not cut short, that actually would happen, which that's profoundly sobering. Jesus is saying the elect would be deceived if it were possible. And oh, by the way, it won't be possible because it will be cut short at a length that you can endure for. So,
because you go tap out.
Because at some point you would tap out.
Right.
Because he knows my frame, that I am but dust. Ooh. So what we're talking about here, and I hope some of you may be struggling to piece together exactly what we're getting at. Please be patient with us, because I promise you what we're talking about here is excruciatingly important.
Yeah.
But what we're trying to do is lay a foundation in your heart and mind for beginning to piece together enough of the puzzle of how the great deception is currently playing out, because we're deep enough in now that if the Lord has given you a level of discernment and awareness, you're beginning to truly see the game that's afoot and understand how it works.
Right.
And if that's not your gifting, don't be ashamed in that. That's why God has given different gifts to the body. But please care enough to hang out while we try to talk our way through this a little bit, because what we're trying to do is let you see enough of how the game is playing out in the final move or two that you will be able to avoid the very slippery ground, the traps laid in the very slippery ground that is these days of Noah, this environment that we're in right now.
Yeah.
Where everybody's out for themselves and everything is fueled by appetite, and what we're really getting at here is that we're not our opponent, Antikemi, to lie in opposition. Our opponent, the system to which we in the kingdom of heaven must stand opposed, because that system owes its MO and its framework to the one that is a liar and a murderer from the beginning. And because the system that we represent is the one that was framed by the one that came that we might have life.
Right.
And that we might be free. We need to recognize that, number one, this is not checkers. This is definitely chess at minimum. Chess is a very good analogy for what's happening. But probably multi-dimensional chess, if you can picture that. Just imagine a chessboard that plays up and down as well as playing from side to side. So imagine how complex the strategies become at that point. And now you're getting a good idea for how delicate weaving your way through the great deception really is. It's a lot like in the spy movies when you see somebody contort their way through a room full of lasers that will, that's what we're dealing with. Don't be afraid. We have a shepherd. But this would be a good time to tag in with him and find out what he's saying.
Yeah.
But we need to realize that our opponent is not a moron. So stop expecting him to offer to print a barcode on your wrist. Please, for the love of God.
Oh, Left Behind movies just catching strays. That's good. Though.
It's so bad. That's such a deep part of the conditioning.
Yeah.
Stop expecting him to act like a moron. He's not using felt boards. Like,
people just have to rewind their minds 5 years.
I'm gonna walk out.
Just 5 years.
Just 5 years.
I know it seems like an eternity ago, but it wasn't. Just 5 years.
Yeah.
2020 was,
What happened in 2020?
I mean, the world decided it was going to lose its mind and
It's
shut down.
It's so crazy that we've all just accepted that happened and moved on.
It just moved on, right? But they ran the test balloon
100%. And it worked very well.
just like textbook. Hey, we know you want to get back out to the movies. Hey, we know you want to go back to the restaurants. Hey, we know you want to travel.
Right.
We know you want to go to the grocery store.
Right.
You want to go to the department store or whatever. Sure. Just go ahead and present your vaccine card. Make sure you have it. Bring it with you. And you can go about your business. You can reintegrate into society. But for those of you who decided no, or I have more questions, or trust the science just doesn't work for me, think about how that picture was painted. Again, rewind your mind 5 years ago and what social media was saying, what mainstream media was saying, people who chose to have a difference of opinion or chose to make a different choice for whatever reason.
Right.
They were looked at or talked about. Why do you want to kill my grandmother? She's immune suppressed. Why do you hate us? Don't you care? And it's really interesting that a lot of the fear-mongering that was presented didn't really have a lot of bite to it. It was a lot of barking. It was real loud. It was a lot of noise. But it didn't really have a lot of what they said it was going to have at the end of the day. In fact, we're seeing quite the opposite of people, who are definitely beating their chest with "I told you so," So it's just real interesting how we have a great example of how easy it is to maneuver the entire world into a herd type thinking mentality and then transition your yes and leverage your yes.
Yeah.
If you want to get what you want, sure, we just need your agreement. We're not going to force you. Some people may have felt that, like if you want to return, to your job or work or whatnot. But there was nobody who really walked around with like a shotgun to your head.
Certainly not in the United States of America.
Right.
I've heard, I don't know what happened was it Australia or New Zealand?
It may have been a couple.
It sounded like it got a little more intense in a couple places, but I don't know that for sure. But it sounded like it might have.
But I'm saying as far as the United States, it was not, that wasn't documented.
No.
It was highly, highly pressure. The pressure was there for sure.
Something we hear from high demand, high control religious groups all the time is nobody's forcing you to stay. Nobody's forcing these people to stay.
Come on. Oh, man.
And it's diabolical. It's not of God. It's that is how the serpent sounds. Because I'm going to tell you something. Holding your entire network of loved ones and family over your head, that this is, you know, nobody has to tell you, you know. I've ministered to people who were trying to parse their way through that. I know I'm going to lose all this. You could hold a gun to some people's head and they would feel less threatened because they might could dodge your gun. To say that that is not coercion that's not honest.
At all.
And that's what we saw play out in our society. And I just want to give voice to, you know, I mean, I took a shot. Like, I feel like someone might get this far and feel like getting offended.
Right.
And think that we're ripping on everybody who went along with that treatment approach.
Not at all.
That's not where we're coming from.
We both got the shot.
That's the Matrix speaking.
In case you was that curious, right?
Right. What happened to me, at least, I can't speak for you, but what happened to me was, for personal reasons that did have to do with trying to move around and do what we were trying to get done.
Right.
And also because I heard people saying it was the mark of the beast and that kind of thing, and I knew that that was a clumsy way of looking at it.
That's so good, right?
There is a connection, for sure. There's a connection because it's what we're talking about tonight.
Yeah.
It was absolutely setting some things up. Eventually, I and a couple members of my family did decide to get it. And we, so we, first of all, we went in with a clear conscience that we genuinely felt like, under the circumstances we were in, dealing with what we were dealing with, that was the best way forward for us right then. Second of all, we went in faith, because I know, and I was speaking it over myself and over my loved ones when a couple of us did that, as our whole family didn't, but a couple of us did.
Right.
You know, if there's any deadly thing in here, Father, I'm trusting you.
Right.
Because I'm doing my best to do your will right now.
Right.
I believe this is what is in order for us right now. So I'm trusting you to neutralize anything, because this surely would fall under, if they drink any deadly thing, you know. Given the fact that we felt that we were doing it with a clear conscience and all of that, but I watched as other people had their lives and reputations and careers, you know, crucified in the public square. And it just doesn't take many of those for me to say, oh, hold on a second here.
Right.
Because even if I didn't care about those people, and I do, but even if I didn't, if they'll come for you today, they'll come for me tomorrow. We've learned that lesson enough times in history. But I also was aware that I had not seen any compelling scientific evidence that this stuff was properly vetted, and
Right.
I can say that with ease and confidently because we know at this point that the reason I hadn't seen any was because
There wasn't.
there wasn't any.
There wasn't any.
Nobody had seen any. We know that stuff now, but people are terrified to say that stuff.
Yeah.
And this doctor that I was discussing in the beginning, who lost his career because of all of this, and I heard another doctor recently who is an NIH, infectious diseases guy, and in a high position in the World Health Organization. And he actually said, while speaking about ultra-processed food, and he wrote a book. I can't think of his name right. I'm so bad about that. I can't think of his name right now, but he wrote a book, Ultra-Processed People, maybe? Something like that. People can look him up, find a World Health Organization doctor that writes about ultra-processed food. You'll find him. But he actually said, I'm in the World Health Organization. I'm a huge part of the problem. I mean, he said that. I heard him say that in a lecture at Oxford, I think.
Yeah, Ultra Processed People by Chris Van
Yeah.
Tolkien.
Yes, Van Tolkien. Dr. Van Tolkien. And he said, I couldn't believe it when he came. I mean, he said, I'm an infectious diseases.
I'm part of the problem.
He said, I'm a huge part of the problem.
Wow.
But I'm trying to use that influence, to have a conversation that I feel like has to be had. So nuance is in order here because we're all to one degree or another caught up in this system.
Yeah.
And there are good people on all sides of this trying to do something good and helpful. But there's so much confusion, and in that environment, one thing that we know is that our swords can get turned on each other.
Quickly.
Easily, especially when it's a little hard to identify who the enemy is, which is by design. And so what we need to be listening for is his voice. See, that's helped me so much because, for instance, I don't know Dr. Van Tolkien's moral framework. I don't know his motives. I don't know him. He's a part of an organization that I wouldn't trust to babysit my child for 5 minutes.
Right.
But they've done a lot, potentially, of good in the world, maybe. But I don't really care where he's coming from. I know that my father spoke to me through some work that he did. And that's all I need to know.
Yeah.
I heard the voice of my shepherd making me aware of some things through some things that man said. It would really benefit us if we would stop trying to figure out who the good guys are and who the bad guys are. If we need to know, that will become clear to us. But if we would start learning to hear his voice, no matter if it speaks through a donkey or speaks through a Balaam or speaks through a Nathan, if we could catch the thread and learn to hear his voice, so much of this confusion that everybody's living in would drop away. And so this other doctor that was talking about how we are all collectively basically going to willingly surrender our rights to our own bodies, to our own health, to our own over the coming couple of years. And the host of the podcast said to him, "How will that happen?" And he said, we're going back now to a few minutes ago. He said, well, number one, you got to remember that the big global dry run was a rousing success. So we already know we're most of the way there. He said it did wake a bunch of people up, though. So he said the second part of that, because I feel like I'm part of that crowd. Like,
I'm awake now.
I don't see the world the same way I did when I made the decision in good conscience to do what I did. I do not. Not even similar. I'm following the same voice, but we're miles down the road. You know what I mean?
Absolutely.
So that having been said, the second part of his answer was, we have been systematically conditioned, programmed to receive. We have been systematically conditioned to rush past the examination and discernment portion of understanding what we agree to and go straight to the dopamine hit we can get. Because you said, I think they put it right at the juncture where you want to get past it to get to the thing you went to your device for. We are all prisoners here of our own device. No, they did. Everything about, first of all, people need to understand, if you use the brand I use, the logo on the back of your Apple device tells you where this technology comes from.
It could not get more clear.
Again, somebody says that's a coincidence.
Sure.
Okay, so the boy jumping out of your daughter's bedroom when you got home was a coincidence? I mean, how far are you willing to go with that?
Yeah.
Where else in your life are you willing to apply that level of having your head in the sand, of chosen naivete? Come on. No, they showed a bite out of the fruit on the back because they want to be able to say that they told you what it is.
Right.
You know that. Stop letting the serpent gaslight you. You know these things because Romans 1 says it's plainly evident. It's all plainly evident. We just don't want to know. And that's what is mind-blowing to me, even about being honest with myself about how deep this conditioning has gotten in me, is that for days I have not allowed myself to download the new software because I haven't read the new terms and conditions, when I know full well that all I have to do is ask AI for a rundown of it, and at least that's more than I've ever done before.
Yeah.
But I still haven't done that, and now it's taking up so much memory space on my device, which is definitely by accident, right? That I can't hardly use my device, and I still haven't done it, which tells me that my problem is not that I can't understand the terms and conditions. It's that I don't actually care enough to do it. When this device right here represents, they used to say in the USSR, shh, the walls have ears.
Yeah.
This is in the 70s, the 60s, the 50s. The walls have ears. Your pocket is ears.
100%.
Your phone is counting how many times you blink when you watch what kind of content. It's analyzing your facial expressions. Your phone is feeding so much data about you to the cloud that now there is something that you don't know about yet that they're calling your digital twin.
Yep.
That exists in the cloud. And they don't even have to observe you anymore. They just want your digital twin who doesn't know how to project an image of themselves into the world that comes across, hear me now, in the way you want to be perceived. Doesn't know enough to know that I shouldn't act like I is what I is.
Yeah.
And so now they don't even, there's less to be gained for them in watching you because you project all kinds of smokescreen into the world to try to come across a certain way. Now they can just watch your digital twin who just does what you do when no one's looking. So they know more about you than you know about you because you won't be that honest with yourself. The Bible says that one of the reasons God and the elders in heaven and the angels rejoice when Babylon burns is because she trafficked in the bodies and souls of humans.
Yeah.
We're there. This is it.
As you say, we're right in the big middle of it.
We are in the big middle of it. Like, there's nothing about this that's like coming down the pike or this is it. This is what it looks like. This is the dystopian future that you've been warned about your whole life. The thing that concerns me is that I have a friend who used to say when we were older teenagers, we are the people our mothers warned us about. That's what concerns me. Why don't I care? I preach about caring. I care about caring. I want to care. I torment myself with knowing that I should care. But right now, I haven't learned how to care enough to actually read a document before I agree to allowing the most monetized company in the history of the planet unlimited access to my life. That's what we mean by Antikemi. The reason that I haven't developed that level of engagement yet with where and how I give my yes, which is really more important than your no, because anyone who understands about consent,
Come on.
right?
Yes.
Understands that the absence of a no is not the same as a yes.
It's not the same.
So, and there are many, many people watching this podcast who can attest that they were too scared to say no, but they didn't say yes. And let me just encourage you, don't let the enemy lie to you, and don't let your abusers what's the word? I used it a few minutes ago. Gaslight you. Yeah. You didn't
give consent.
You didn't give consent.
Right.
How do I know? Because you know.
Yeah.
You know you didn't. That's why it hurt so bad. That's why it did so much damage. So don't let the enemy lie to you. You didn't give consent. You might have been too scared to say no, but you didn't give a free will yes.
Right.
So we have been fully programmed to just Pastor, you said it and you said it right. You just like me. it's hard to just say the thing outright that you know to be true. You've just become very adapted to, I know I've been talking a long time. The best example I can think of is every man knows. I don't know exactly how it works for women, but every man knows that in a sexually charged interaction, there's a moment where you cross the Rubicon. And it doesn't matter if if you allow yourself to get to that point, it wouldn't matter if your wife called you on the phone in that moment.
Yeah.
That train can't be stopped at a point, right? If you allow yourself to reach a certain level of, because what's happening is a drug-infused interaction in your body.
Yeah, it's a point of no return.
There is.
Yeah.
Where the synapses are already firing, the reward cycle is already in motion, and now you are in the position of a junkie with access.
My God.
And you're going through with it, come hell or high water, no matter what the cost, because you've passed beyond conscious thought. You are in primal animal instinct. Yeah. And there's a moment where you're going to get to that reward mechanism no matter what, right? So we all know better than to let ourselves get to that point. That's why that's not an excuse for what you did. It just shows how stupid you are that you let yourself get to that point, right? But that is kind of exactly the same thing that's happening to us when we're tapping away to try to get to the game or try to get to and they know that right there is not where we're going to stop and break the cycle and read the terms and conditions. And so they pop it up right there, and another successful round of Pavlovian conditioning has now gone by, because once again, we have swiped at the annoyance to get to the reward mechanism and deepened the conditioning. And this doctor said that's how they're going to come at us with these invasions of our rights in the healthcare space.
The point of no return, where it's like you're desperate.
Yes.
And you've reached a point where it's like, it doesn't matter, I'll do anything.
Yes.
And that's where the danger lies. Let me just pivot for just a moment, because this whole conversation reminds me of when you came over a few weeks ago, and we were talking about this very subject as far as like what we potentially give agreement to, especially like our homes, and little things like the welcome mat. What are we agreeing?
I love the new one.
You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
And we had this conversation, and you kind of enlightened me a little bit. I'm like, yeah, you're right. Like, do I really want to say?
Teach the people, because this is new for me too, but I believe this is important.
I mean, just something as simple as a welcome mat at your front door. You're saying all are welcome. Do you really believe that, though?
Again, right now, I know there's deep programming telling you it's not that deep. But we're just asking, how sure are you?
How sure are you? Because what you have given your yes to does have a ripple effect, whether you know it or not. And now we can't use the excuse of ignorance anymore.
Right.
It's just apathy.
Right. All of the AI thing, the solution's right there. I still haven't done it. It's just apathy.
It's just apathy. And that's the danger. And so I remember you were kind of bringing that to my attention of like, hey, be careful or just be mindful.
I think I just turned it over on my way out of
No,
your
you
house.
did. You absolutely did. And me and my wife were like kind of tripping like, hey, did you do that? Or did I do that?
Why is
We're
our
like,
mat upside down?
But it's good. Yes, it needs to be upside down because, yeah, that's good. And it's silly, right? Or is it?
Or is it?
Or is it, right? And like the language that we use, like my casa, like make yourself at home.
Make yourself at home. What's
My
mine
casa,
is
su
yours.
casa.
Yes.
It's like
What's mine is yours. Rick goes right along with mi casa, su casa.
we got to be careful. And we live in we're in the people business as pastors. And so we of course live in the tension of being available for ministry and trying to extend ourselves, be the hands and feet of Jesus,
Yes.
right? But there's also that tension of being the watchman on the wall,
Yes.
being the shepherd, being the high priest of your home, even the guard dog,
Yep.
being very mindful of the content that's being consumed under your watch.
Yep.
And I think I'm more mindful now than I've ever been. Because what I'm saying yes to and allowing my children to partake, I don't want to sacrifice my children on the altar of my convenience or on the altar of my apathy.
Yeah.
Because I can't say I didn't know anymore. I can't say I didn't know, Lord. I was ignorant. It's like, no, you weren't. You just didn't care. And I think facing ourselves in a mirror, that's what we're really afraid of, is that we know that we don't care. We know. But we're too coward enough to address it and confront that attitude about ourselves, because that now requires a level of action.
Yeah.
And so we rather just tuck it away or just move on to the next, get past that screen.
Get past that screen.
Let's go ahead and try to get that cheap dopamine fix again. It's the proverbial wool over our eyes. It's easy. It's easier.
Why did you take that tissue from me?
Because you handed it to me.
What went through your mind?
I don't know. Something was on my face or...
I mean, because I just took that out of the box
Right.
while you explained that. Held it in my hand for a minute. I prayed a blessing in Jesus' name on it over the receiver and handed it to you. Now, you know me. The Bible says, know those who labor among you.
Right.
Well, I'll receive anything you give me. I'm already, we're in covenant.
Yeah.
I don't have to make that choice. I mean, don't ever suspend your discernment, but I don't have to make that choice with you because
Right.
I've already made some decisions. We're in covenant.
Right.
But it is a weird phenomenon. It's a human. That's weird.
Just how easy.
I just reached down into a tissue box, pulled out a tissue, crumpled it up in my hand for a minute, and then just handed it to you without a comment.
Wow.
I can't tell you how hard it is to resist that urge.
You just played it out in 4K.
It's so weird.
Yeah.
Because you would think, even with the level of trust between us, you'd be like, bro, like, I've got a tissue box. Like,
Right.
what's happening right now? Right? But we just
We don't.
We don't.
Don't.
No, there's nothing wrong with you not in that context. But it's just interesting that it plays out like that. I have people come up to me at the altar service in our church quite often and just hand me something. And I'm really working on practicing the skill of just keeping my hands at my side, not in an ugly way, but just making eye contact, which I hate. It's a neurodivergent thing that's challenging for me. But just maintaining eye contact and waiting for them to state their intention. And most of the time, it's not even because I'm suspicious of the person, because a lot of times I trust the person. I'm just trying to build a new habit in myself.
That's right. Yeah.
Because I've been so conditioned a different way. Isaac just ate a bowl of stew. But the Bible says he wept and told Esau, I can't give you the blessing. I already ate your brother's stew. You guys, I know the welcome mat thing sounds silly. I know the terms and conditions thing on your iOS sounds silly. I know these examples sound silly to us, and we're deeply programmed to believe that they're not that deep. But, okay, so let's assume that every example we've given today is silly, and it's not that deep. But how deep is it?
Yeah.
And how have you arrived at that conclusion? Because you read a book that you claim, most likely, if you're watching this podcast, you probably would state that that book is the arbiter of truth in your life.
Should be, at least.
Should be. And for many of you, if not most of you, it probably is. Right. Or you believe that it is. You would affirm that it is. And in that book, a man found himself duty-bound not to transfer the blessing of birthright to his eldest son, who was his favorite for that role. That's who he wanted to put in his will that way. Yeah. Knowing that, prophetically speaking, it had been prophesied that each of those boys was nations, that out of them would come nations. So he knew that this birthright thing was unbelievably high stakes because he was the guardian of Abraham's promise.
Right.
And God had appeared to him personally and reaffirmed that promise. The sands on the sea, the stars in the sky. Out of those two boys came nations that to this day are striving with each other over that birthright. And Isaac said, it all came down to a bowl of stew. Same thing, incidentally, that Esau had to say.
Yeah.
That my son cooked me. And Rebekah, who the Bible says loved Isaac, was the architect of that. Not only that, she wasn't wrong. But I'm asking you, if the examples we've given are too silly, how sure are you that you know where that line is in your life? That your agreements are not selling you out. So I've just learned to have a lighter hand with the like button. There was a creator that told silly stories, and I found it relaxing to listen to her channel, and she would, it was just periodic entertainment that popped up and gave, because I'm always down rabbit holes, and so it relieved some of the pressure. It was just goofy Reddit stuff, wedding drama and whatever. I know that's weird for a dude, but
no, I get it.
I found it relaxing. Gemma also found that creator. And one day Gemma said to me, "Hey, Dad, is that gossip that she's doing?" And it got real quiet in that car. Because this is my daughter's soul. And I said,
"Come on.
Girl, why you got to spoil every party?" I said, yeah, a lot of what she does probably qualifies as gossip. And then a couple days later, another video popped up, and I was listening to it. It didn't seem that gossipy, and I was enjoying it. And she said, give it a like. And also, I had subscribed that channel. Remember, anything sub, you're under.
Whew.
And it actually subscribed. I'm not looking it up right now, but I can tell you because I'm an etymological guy. That's under and written. Subscribed. So I had underwritten that channel with my name. And I was going to drop a like because I try to support creators. And I just got a check. And I thought, well, why do I have a check in my spirit? Like just a little, That's what I mean by a check. Just a little like, sure. And I thought it through. Well, I don't think this one was gossip. And it was like, in my spirit, it was like, all right, if that's good enough for you. And I recognized my father's voice. And then I remembered something that I hadn't noticed. Instantly, as soon as I recognized that that was my father's voice, I remembered that 2 times in the weeks preceding that, she had made an offhanded, lighthearted remark about being a witch for something. She would say something and then be like, I know, I'm a witch. Just talk about frequency and vibration and whatever, and then she would say something like that. And I thought back to the fact that over the previous couple of years, I had heard her more and more often refer to certain things like that as being witchy and whatever.
Right.
Jokingly, always. And I thought, I'm going to withhold this like. And I'm going to go ahead and second guess that subscription.
Yeah.
But I've watched a lot of those videos, so they've continued to pop up. And every now and then, I've clicked on one. And just so happens that those couple of times that I clicked on it, she now overtly says, I'm a witch. We're talking someone that presents as so innocuous.
Yeah.
So, I guarantee you she thinks she's one of the good guys.
Right.
She definitely thinks she's a white hat. She wants good for people, but I know enough witches to know that they absolutely bless the things they produce before they put them out. So I had to repent Because I've been given my agreement. Somebody handed me the tissue, and it never occurred to me that they might have blessed that tissue. And not every blessing is a blessing.
That's right.
And I just took it. And so I'm trying to learn to keep my hands at my side and stay quiet more and observe and listen. Not out of fear, just out of wisdom, because in the days of Noah, every inclination of every heart became only evil all the time, meaning corrupted by the lust of the flesh, the lust of the eyes, and the pride of life.
Right.
That's what Antikemi is about. It's a desire to help the Lord's people become awake and aware, learn to value their consent, and learn how it looks to exit Babylon while still having to operate within the system. It's the skill that Daniel perfected. Come out of her, my people. Don't share in her plagues or her sins. This is going to take a wrecking ball to our political ideologies, our religious structures, our social norms. And it's between you and the Holy Ghost how far that wrecking ball goes in your life. But before you decide that we're just a couple of lunatics ranting on a podcast about welcome mats and like buttons, and take it to the Lord.
Yeah. Yeah.
Please. Because if that line's not where we're saying it is, it's somewhere. Do you know where? The last thing I'll say before shutting up for you. We have a warlock that regularly attends our services. Not one, but one that pops up at key moments.
Right.
We call him the shaman for short, because that's how he operates. And he comes in. It's not subtle.
At all.
A lot of times it is. It's not in his case. He'll often have like a crystal or a sage, on his shirt. Please don't be offended. I know many people who love the Lord that partake in some of those things. I would encourage you to continue to allow the Spirit to convict and guide you, because frequency and all of that, it all comes from God. It's of God. It's in God. But how we interact with it determines whether or not we are operating from within the kingdom of light or darkness. But in his case, it's just one of the clear markers of how he moves. And we have noted, have we not,
Sir.
that every time he comes into our congregation, he always has something to put in people's hands.
Yep.
Sometimes it's the other way, by the way. Sometimes you'll be asked for things. Again, gotta learn to use wisdom. You don't lend everybody your hairbrush. First of all, that's nasty. But second of all, y'all can think it's silly, but some people are out here looking for strands of hair.
Absolutely.
100% they are. Your pictures, my God, I am re-examining the pictures we have on social media.
Right.
Your pictures are highly valued in that world. So the point is, yeah, he always comes in And he just holds out his hand and people just take it.
Yep.
And then we, as overseers of the Lord's flock, have to run around going, excuse me, did that guy give you something? You know, and making and letting him know, hey, quit handing your stuff out, you know.
Right.
This is real. And you don't think those people have channels? I mean, that's such a silly question, but you don't think those people have channels on social media? You don't think they pour intention into what they produce? You don't think... Your agreement is highly valued. The question is it by you?
If you don't take anything from this conversation, please take that question to the Lord. And I just pray right now over God's people that
Yes,
they would have
Father.
the confidence to confront themselves
Yeah.
and ask that question. I know as we're having the conversation right now in real time, I'm starting to kind of like examine myself. And I was just reminded earlier, one of my favorite verses in the Bible is Psalm 19 and 14. Let the words of my mouth and meditation of my heart be acceptable in thy sight, O Lord, my strength and my redeemer.
Yeah.
But it's the verse before that I have often thought about when I quote that verse. And he says, also keep back your servant from presumptuous sins. Let them not rule over me. Then I will be blameless, and I shall be acquitted of great transgression. Another translation says,
My God.
moreover, keep your servant from willful sins.
Yeah.
Do not let them rule me. Then I will be blameless and cleansed from blatant rebellion. And I remember years ago kind of looking up what that word presumptuous meant and how the writer meant it. And the example that was given is, imagine a road and it has a pitfall in it. And you are riding down the road and you're supposed to crash. And so the writer here, David, is saying, keep me from the sins that I'm supposed to fall into because I willfully reach for that dopamine hit. I willfully just say accept terms and conditions. I move past it because I don't care. Like, keep me from not caring. And like, and just as we wrap up here,
Hating even the garment stained by sin.
Yeah.
Go ahead, I'm sorry.
No, you're good. I think that's a good place for us to kind of like leave that with somebody asking themselves that question. So, Father, I thank you that you have truly governed this conversation, Lord.
Yes.
I thank you that it wasn't scripted,
Yes.
but it was so necessary for us to, amongst each other, edify one another just with this conversation, but
Yes.
just for the Lord's people, for them to be reminded in yet another medium. A medium that a lot of people might just feel is entertainment. But I pray, Lord, that you arrest somebody who may have just clicked on this episode and they wanted to be entertained, but they will leave here feeling changed. They will leave here asking the question of themselves,
Yes.
Do I value my yes? And what I give my agreement to, does it truly matter to me? Have I taken inventory of what I am coming into alignment with?
Yes.
So I just pray, God, that you give us the courage to search the corners of our heart, to ask the hard questions, for us to come underneath the submission of the Spirit and recognize the areas of our life that are not submitted, even though we may say that they are, and then confront them.
Yes, Father.
Confront them aggressively. Confront them, because time is short and we have to work while it's day.
Yeah.
We bless you for it. We thank you for this avenue.
Yes.
In Jesus' name.
Amen.
Amen.
I can't help but, as soon as you went to that psalm, my mind went to another verse that has often jumped out at me in that psalm from just before the one you read. And I just want to read these couple of verses as a way of sealing what the Spirit is saying to us, I believe, in this conversation tonight.
Amen.
And I'm just going to read it in the King James because I feel in this case it makes it very clear. The fear of the Lord, this is Psalm 19:9. The fear of Jehovah is clean, enduring forever. The judgments of Jehovah are true and righteous altogether. More to be desired are they than gold, yea, than much fine gold, sweeter also than honey and the honeycomb. Verse 11, moreover, by them is thy servant warned, and in keeping of them, the judgments and the fear of the Lord, and in keeping of them there is great reward. Who can understand his errors? Cleanse thou me from secret faults. And that's his statement right before the presumptuous sins.
Yeah.
Who can understand his errors? Cleanse thou me from secret faults. And the faults is in italics. Actually, what he just said is, cleanse me from hidden, from concealed, from the stuff I didn't see, from the stuff I didn't know about. We studied David's altar to the Lord when he sinned by numbering the people.
Yeah.
And when the Lord told him to go by the threshing floor of Onan and build an altar there, Onan, it says, as a Jebusite king, said to David, let me as a Jebusite king gift this altar to you. And David said two things in his response. I will receive nothing from you, and I will not give to the Lord what has cost me nothing. So there was not one reason why David didn't accept that.
Right.
We often point out he rightly refused to give the Lord an offering that didn't cost him anything. But he also had a second reason that he actually listed first.
I am not going to come into agreement.
No, sir.
No alliance.
Because you came to me in your office as Jebusite royalty. I know who you are.
Right.
No, I'm not going to do that with you. But he didn't always catch it.
Right.
And that's what he's talking about here. Keep me from my errors that I don't understand. And the secret things. I know that the fear of the Lord and your judgment, your discernment will warn me. And I treasure it. I value it. And Antikemi is about valuing his voice and valuing our voice and realizing that we can learn to track his voice through the noise, and we can learn to govern ours and in that will be great reward.
Amen.
Good conversation.
Until next time, we will see you. Keep resisting. Keep enduring. We love you.
We are the opposition. We are the resistance.
Let's go.